help it that you popping and they stopping. You can't help it that you packing and they lacking. You can't help it that you great and they late. You happy and they crappy. Ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. Ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. That's a damn problem. Ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a damn problem. Love you, bye.
Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be getting into this video that I just came across of Tanya Blount. I don't know too much about her. I'm pretty sure as the video goes on I might recognize her, but we shall see. Hopefully y'all day or y'all evening or your night or whatever is going good whenever you're watching this. Welcome. Thank you to the returning viewers and subscribers, and thank you to those of you who are just now tuning in. We're gonna get into this video now.
He's watching for you.
After appearing on the TV talent show Big Break, hosted by Natalie Cole, Tanya Blount was signed to Polydor Records. And while recording her debut album, she landed a role alongside Whoopi Goldberg and Lauryn Hill in the 1993 film Sister Act 2. Her debut album, entitled Natural Thing.
She did look familiar, but I thought she was like a part of one of those girl groups or something like that. Sister Act is a very good movie. If you haven't seen it by now, then I don't know what you've been doing with your life.
Was released in 1994, and 3 singles, including the song Through the Rain, made it on the Billboard R&B chart. She received a Best New Artist nomination at the Soul Train Awards, and she really thought her career was headed down the right path. But the DC Natives label was going through some internal changes, and she got dropped. It was her first taste of how the music business will chew you up, and
that seems to be like one of the going things, like when they're talking about artists that signed back in the day. Like, why do y'all, well, I'm not even gonna ask that question, because if you know, you know, but I think that's rude and disrespectful. Like, if you know your company is finna go under or already is under, like you put people in effed up positions with that, because a lot of times they end up, you know what I'm saying, owing more in all areas of life when this type of stuff happens, because by this point you've already signed a contract. So
spit you out. But things got even worse when Sean Diddy Combs signed her to Bad Boy Records in 1996. To give you an idea of how things went for her on Bad Boy, her manager told the Washington Post, "We got caught up in Puffy's vortex." This topic requires something to munch on, and we know you're hungry. So head on over to rrgsnacks.com, our online concession stand that has an assortment of beef, turkey, and bacon jerky, buffalo ranch popcorn, and butter toffee peanuts. 2 years after getting dropped from Polydor, 19-year-old Tanya gave birth to a baby boy. At some point, she also got married. In 1996, she signed with Bad Boy at the height of the label's popularity. Diddy was anxious to turn her into an R&B superstar and linked her up with legendary songwriters who had written tracks for artists like Whitney Houston and Barbra Streisand. Tanya commuted to New York to work on her album, but preferred to live in D.C. because she enjoyed being near the large and educated Black community. She would later further her education by attending Morgan State University. She told the Washington Post that initially her association with Bad Boy Records was very productive. She was able to work with some of the hottest producers and wrote lyrics for herself and other Bad Boy artists. Tanya also recorded the song I Love Him, featuring Mace. According to badboyblog.com, the song was supposed to be featured on the label's first gospel album, entitled Thank You. which was executive produced by Diddy and Hezekiah Walker of the Love Fellowship Tabernacle. Diddy was
Did y'all know that? Like, that didn't even sound.
heavily involved in the formation of her solo album and would put his trademark stamp on all of her songs. He guided her throughout the recording process, and she was very excited for her music to be heard by the world. She told Elysian magazine she recorded about 50 to 60 songs for the label. But then one day, she went into the studio and told her manager, "I don't want to do this. I want a different style of music and legacy. Why can't we blend all these styles of music that I grew up listening to?" In other words,
see, that's excuse me. That's why it's like, for me, I'm grateful now for like all these different streaming apps and services for the up and coming generation. Like, I'm happy that they get to, like play around with their creativity. I'm happy that they get to like network a little bit better before actually getting into situations like these, because when you get into situations like these, like I said, like you've already signed the contract. So if you didn't read it, 9 times out of 10, like, it don't matter what kind of sound you want. Like, if it's not excuse me, if it's not something that was agreed upon in the first place, like, you're not gonna be able to be yourself, and you're gonna get pushed, you know, to the back. So I'm happy nowadays that people that do music have a lot more options. Like, they can have genuine followers of their sound, and they can play around with how they want to sound at any given moment.
she didn't want to be placed inside of a box. She wanted the opportunity to explore other genres, like pop music. She told the Washington City paper that she had a conversation with Diddy about it, but sadly, he wouldn't budge. Tanya said, "Here I was, this little black girl who wanted to do pop music and wanting to cross genres, and it wasn't possible." Doesn't this sound similar to Dawn Richard's issues with Bad Boy? If you have no idea what we're talking about, be sure to check out our Dawn video after we wrap things up here. We'll leave a link to that video in the description box. Tanya alleges that after a while, Diddy lost interest in her album. Eventually, he stopped working on it altogether. The months turned into years, and her album collected dust. In October 1999, 3 years after signing with Bad Boy, she began to dissociate herself from the label and hired attorneys to release her from her contract so she could pursue other offers. According to the Washington Post, Bad Boy disputed Tanya's versions of events, and the label's lawyers were working with Tanya's lawyers to negotiate some sort of settlement. The results of the negotiations were kept confidential.
Hey there, it's your curl girl here. So I found this new curly hair product online. It's called Lit Curls. If you're wearing your hair natural and you're anything like me, you probably watch video after video about
Negotiations were kept confidential. Now, remember that Bad Boy gospel album we referenced a couple of minutes ago? Well, following Tanya's departure, Bad Boy issued a press release to announce the gospel album would hit stores in February 2001. The collection of music included songs by Mario Winans, Mary Mary, Jerome Childers, Brandy, Kelly Price, Brian McKnight, and many others. Tanya's version of the song "I Love Him" was scrapped and replaced by a version recorded by artist Velma Guyton. But the gospel album was never even released. Who knows what really happened to it? Perhaps Diddy grew bored of that project as well. With her career on hold, Tanya founded a nonprofit called Kids on the Net to help low-income children learn about computers and the internet. Although she tried to keep herself busy, she grappled with her decision to walk away from her record deal because it provided her with the ability to take care of her family.
See, that's one of them things, like, I'm gonna be reacting to another video that talks about like celebrities that walked away from the fame and chose to have regular jobs. Like, those are the people that I would think you could actually have a decent conversation with and learn a lot from, because when they are in those types of settings, I feel like, you know, as long as you're not being rude or, you know, not acting like they're not human, like, they have valuable things to talk about, and they would be more than willing to share, especially for people that are interested in doing things that they did. Like, but these are the people that a lot of people talk about and bash and have all these kind of bad things to say. But I mean, like, are people ever gonna realize that celebrities are still people? Like, they're still, they can still be regular. In fact, a lot of them are, you know what I'm saying? Like, without the spotlight.
What came next is what Tanya describes as a dark moment. She fell into a depression and tried to sort through her issues through therapy. Around the age of 25 or 26, her thoughts took a turn. She told herself that her son was fine and well taken care of by his father and other family members, and she was ready to make her transition. After her attempt, she wound up in a Dallas hospital and was placed under a 72-hour emergency psychiatric hold. Upon her release, things in her life.
See, I was wondering what she meant by make her transition. Like, that's sad. That's sad. And it's people going through that very thing right now. You know what I'm saying? I've seen numerous news, clips and stuff of people that, you know, life just gets to be too much. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've been there myself, but you gotta think about, I would say your purpose, but some people still ain't even found their purpose. So that's like another thing that's sad. But I was just telling my youngest daughter today, like, you have to think about the positive. Like, it's a choice to focus on the negative, right? And I'm not saying that she didn't or she didn't try, but I'm just saying, like, you have to force yourself kind of to reprogram yourself to focus on the positive things in life, because the way that it seems like there's nothing but negativity in the world. It seems like there's nothing but, you know, crime and sadness and stuff, and that's not true. Like, there's a lot of happiness in the world, y'all. There's a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, a lot of success, tons of wealth. Like, but you have to, you have to reprogram yourself to see things that way. You know what I'm saying? It's all about perspective. So, I want to say I'm happy that she wasn't successful, but at the same time, I mean, you never know. Maybe, hopefully, she got her life back on track, you know.
Continued to spiral. She ventured off to Miami by herself and was parked in front of a beauty supply store. A wave of sadness engulfed her, and while sitting in her car, she prayed, "God, if you're real, show up." A woman passed by and started questioning her. "What are you doing sitting in the car? Are you new in town?" The woman introduced herself.
Them moments are golden. Like, sometimes you have to have those moments. I'm speaking personally. Like, you have to have those moments, because ultimately we're taught to control more things that are out of our control than not. Like, that's kind of how I believe. Like, so then when it gets to a point where we realize the things that we can control, we don't know how to control those things, like ourselves. We don't sometimes know how to control that. And I'm not talking about like in any specific way, like I'm talking about in all ways. You know what I'm saying? Our emotions, our choices, our, I mean, it pretty much comes down to those two. Like, how we want to see things, how we really view things. Like, sometimes we don't grow up like that. I think that's how I want to say it. Probably not, but I'll just put myself in that eye. You have to learn to control the things you can. And in doing that, life does get a lot easier. But going back to that moment, you have to have those moments where you, I guess you could consider, you can cry out, you know what I'm saying, to God, whatever God you believe in. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody has different, we're not going to get into that. So whatever God is to you, you have to take those moments to step back, or go to a quiet place, go sit out in nature, and just be like, yo, prove yourself to me right now. Because if not, you know what I'm saying, it's not looking promising. You know what I'm saying? So that's dope right there. Like I said, it's a golden moment.
As Dr. Brown, and sensing something wasn't quite right, she invited Tanya to her house for a prayer meeting. Tanya told Elysian magazine, "The love that I felt from her, all these women, this community, transformed me."
That's good.
Want to start your own business but don't know where to begin? Don't worry, I got you. Check out Taylor Brand.
Community transformed me. By February 2000, she was ready to stage a comeback.
Here we are, in a place where time stands still for us.
She started looking, she didn't even look like that.
But as the years passed by, Tanya got divorced and was homeless until a friend allowed her to sleep in their basement. She was also still trying to regain her footing in the industry. In 2010, she was booked to perform at Maryland's Love Fest. While watching a man named Michael Trotter Jr. perform, Tanya was blown away by his emotional sensitivity. After his performance, she ran up to him and bought 5 of his CDs. They also exchanged numbers, but he didn't call her. A newly divorced father of 2, Michael had been homeless for 2 years, and a relationship was the furthest thing from his mind. He told the Washington City paper, "I had nothing, so I knew that I was not marriage material or boyfriend material." But Tanya was...
See, it be situations like that that make you realize how far you've come, how much you've grown. Even, you know what I'm saying, how much you've healed. And just, leveled up. It's easy for a lot of people to be like, oh, you know what I'm saying, women don't like to be with a man at his lowest and this and that. But truth of the matter is, it happens more times than it should. The problem with that is you don't have a lot of these stories circulated. Well, you might now. I don't know. I don't hear about them, but they both were kind of in the same space. So they were able to relate. And I want to say this is different than, because I do have a video up about trauma bonding. I feel like this is different than that, because him taking that step back and being like, yo, I'm not ready. I'm not. I think that's very important. Like, that's a very important lesson to learn, because a lot of times that consideration isn't taken, you know what I'm saying, on either part. but from what I've seen, more men's part than women. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men, I don't want to say a lot of men, some men don't see things that way. You know what I'm saying? Like the being upfront about it and like, nah, like I'm not finna call you. Like people be expecting you to call them like that same night. I've had, I don't like giving my number out, and I rarely do. Like I be trying to come up with excuses. But now I just be like, well, you know, I could take your number. But then it'd be like that weird thing sometimes when people be like, call me right now, I'm gonna save your number. I'd be like, my phone finna die. That's how not ready I feel right now. Like, nah, I still need like 10 more years. Let me work on myself. But if we ain't got it by then, then you just don't have it, bro. Nah, I don't have it either.
Eager to connect with him, so she reached out to him. They started dating, and in an interview with BMI website, Michael said he warned Tanya from the jump. Don't fall for me. I'm a bum. I don't have nothing. I'm big. I've gained over 200 pounds. I'm just...
Bro, that's dope. Like, that goes beyond. I know some people probably like, no, that's not dope. Nah, it is dope. It's like y'all just don't, a lot of people don't get, if you just be honest and upfront from jump, it's easier to like have something solid, something real, like a real foundation. But when you just come into it and it's like, all right, I'm gonna tell you a little bit, and then stuff just, you know, start being thrown in, that's not cool. It's very disrespectful, actually. Like, people deserve to know what they dealing with. Here we go. I'm not finna be on no BS. I kid you not. Like, I'm a chill.
very, very unhappy with me. Tanya ignored his warning and gave up the draws. Although doctors told her she would never be able to conceive another child, she promised Michael she would give him a baby boy. 6 months later, she was pregnant with their son, Legend.
Avail is car sharing made simple. Just choose your ride, grab the keys, and go. Where to first? It's the hassle-free way.
She was pregnant with their son, Legend. In an Instagram post, Tanya wrote that she wanted to have a wedding, but they couldn't afford it since they were both homeless. So they went to the Justice of the Peace and became husband and wife in June 2011. In the early years of their marriage, they had several disagreements, which Tanya described as explosions. 3 years into their union, Michael told her he was a combat veteran and he was struggling with PTSD from his tour of duty in Iraq.
I feel like everything I just said went out the window. Bro, I feel like everything I just said was... So I'm saying he wasn't all the way honest. Like, I guess he was to the best of his ability, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a red flag for me. It's the whole military thing. Like, I just don't prefer someone who's been in the military now. Like I really don't prefer that because of the PTSD. But see, it's not even just that alone. It's like people be already having issues from like childhood, and then it's like you get this big congratulations once you've signed up for the service, and then if you know, you know. Then you get out and you try to like adjust to, what is it, reality, adjust to the world. I don't know, man. But that's crazy. Really got slapped in the face with that after what I was trying to give. He still get his kudos though, because you still don't have a lot of dudes that. I keep saying a lot. I need to change that. You still have some guys that they don't even give you that much. They just be like, yeah, I'm staying over here, staying over there. I kid you not. Like, I was dealing with helping somebody with some taxes, somebody I was talking to, and I'm like, you don't remember, you know what I'm saying, your last address, you know? So he like, no. I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, why don't you call your mom, call your grandma, or whatever? Because to my knowledge, outside of staying by himself a couple times, that's where he would stay at. So then he gets on the phone and he's like, yeah, what was the address to this, that, and the other? And at this point, I'm like, bro, I cannot trust nothing you say, because I don't know whose address you just had to get. I don't know why you had to, like, get the number. Like, because I don't even think he had the number at that time of the person whose address he had used. It was just weird, bro. Like, I might get into that type of stuff at a later date, but it just be, I done been through some weird situations. I've ignored trillions of red flags. But we here.
Stood by his side, and they started attending therapy sessions together at their local VA hospital. In 2014, they joined
See, that's huge too. Also from experience. Like, I know I need therapy, bro. I really, you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I don't need it as much as I'm saying I do, but to me, I feel like, yeah, therapy is not a bad thing. I've asked people, like, especially dealing with relationships, I've been like, if I go to therapy, you know what I'm saying, or if I start therapy, I think you should come. Like, are you interested? I'm not gonna say the answers were no, but it just, to me, it sucked, because it's like, even though I know it would have been extra helpful for myself, like, ultimately, I probably was doing it for the wrong reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was thinking about it for other people. Like, oh, how could I be better for this person and that person? It's like, no, that's not the reason you should be doing therapy. It's about yourself, first and foremost. And then you can get into, like, relationships with other people and dealing with other people and stuff like that as it pertains to therapy. But I definitely think that's a dope idea. I just was saying this in my podcast. Like, I wish more people would do it. I mean, I guess they are, but when it comes to, like, people that's in the military, like I said, I wish that it was a requirement for treatment of PTSD. And I'm not talking about just no phone call every month. Hey, how you doing? That's not therapy, bro. That's not therapy. And I'm not talking about meditating all day with no direction, because people tend to they've gotten onto this new wave of, oh, I'm healed because I meditate for an hour to 5 hours a day. That doesn't mean you're working on yourself. That simply just means you're taking even more time to set aside time to block out issues in your life. Because I'm pretty sure you're not sitting there, you know what I'm saying, doing any other practices. Like, you're telling yourself there's nothing wrong with you. You have to, what is it? What did Kevin Gates say? Sometimes you gotta relive the past to move into the future. Let me find it. It's one of my favorite songs. I should know it, but I'm gonna pull it up for you. You would think I would have memorized it, but I be listening to a lot of songs. I'm only gonna play a little bit because I'm not trying to get flagged, y'all.
Life insurance. Do not.
Say, Mike, sometimes it's painful to relive the past. Sometimes you gotta relive the past in order to heal from it.
There you go. Sometimes you gotta relive the past in order to heal from it, and I definitely stand by that. That song is called Walls Talking. I listen to a lot of Kevin Gates. It's very therapeutic. But nah, it is. It really is. Kevin Gates be talking some real stuff. But yeah, let's get back into this.
To create the group Trotter and Blunt before changing the name to The War and Treaty. Tanya was finally in her element and able to perform a variety of genres, from blues to rock to country and folk. And Michael used music as a form of therapy.
Most of the songs, like Skyscraper, it stemmed from my time I spent in Iraq as a soldier.
Oh, wow.
I was in Iraq for 2 tours. And I'm a vet, I'm a war vet, and so I talked about that. Talked about homelessness, which is a cause that I support, homeless youth.
In 2017, Tanya noticed a change in Michael. She was used to him having bad days, but things were different this time. She could tell that he was ready for the suffering to end. She told Rolling Stone she called the police and tried to persuade her husband to hold on by telling him, "Michael, I know you have a plan to leave this world, but if you give me just 5 more minutes to love you, I promise I can make you staying in this world make sense." Michael agreed and has since made major progress in his therapy for PTSD. He eventually turned Tanya's plea into the chorus of the song entitled,
I thought that wasn't gonna go well. I'm not even gonna lie. That's why I grabbed my drink, started distracting myself, y'all, for real. Because being that, like, my father was in the military, and I don't feel like when he came out, he got the help that he needed. I don't know what anybody's approach to it was. I just know we were getting to know each other. So I'm glad that didn't go in that direction, because my father ended up committing suicide. So it is what it is with that. But I was bracing myself. I was like, oh shoot, just when we thought it was good. But nah, I'm happy for them, for real. We're gonna leave it at that. Overall, I'm glad she's doing well. It's tough. I'm glad that a lot of people have more options now when it comes to getting their music out there and stuff like that. I've already said that. But I will catch y'all in the next one. Hopefully I'm not as stuffed up. I don't know why I'm so stuffed up. But yeah, I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Thank y'all for tuning in, man. Thank y'all.